introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Liliana Moon. I am Birchwood's 4th grade president.
Hi everyone, I'm Eileen Ramos Vilorio and I'm Birchwood's 4th grade vice president.
Hi, my name is Ahan Trivedi and I am Birchwood's 5th grade president.
Hi, my name is Violet Gonzalez and I am Birchwood's 5th grade vice president.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated.
to get her and then bring her back up here, okay? She just went to the back. They're not up here. Come on, Cupcake. Where's Eliza?
All right, good evening, everyone. Once again, another beautiful round of applause for our students who did a fantastic job. I love that United States song. They sang it for the Maplewood Veterans Day brunch the other day, and they did a great job. So it's a very cool song. All right. In 2019, Congress passed a resolution to designate October 28th as National First Responders Day. This day is set aside to show appreciation to first responders who serve our communities and our nation. These heroes, whether firefighters, law enforcement officials, EMTs, paramedics, or other frontline workers, take countless risks to keep our community safe. Tonight, for the first time ever, we recognize and express our gratitude to our first responders who serve our community. And also for the first time ever, it appeared on our South Huntington calendar, which was recommended by Dr. D'Elia to the board, which we thought was a great idea because our first responders are so integral to everything that we do in South Huntington. And we hope you appreciate the program that we've put together for you. And to further the program, I'd like to now introduce Dimitri Bernadelle, Principal of Maplewood, and Maria Clone, Principal of Maplewood. Birchwood for Dimitri. They're not both the principal.
Good evening, Dr. D'Elia, Mr. Ciapetta, Board of Education, members of the Cabinet, friends, family, and tonight's distinguished guest. Thank you, first responders, for your unwavering commitment to our community and our district's safety. Your selfless service and quick response make a real difference in our lives. We are truly grateful for your dedication and sacrifice.
Tonight, we want to express our sincere gratitude for your tireless efforts. Your bravery and dedication inspire us. We've prepared a special presentation for you tonight, and we honor your service and want to let you know how much we appreciate you and all you do for South Huntington.
Calling all firefighters, EMS, and police forces.
We thank you for your service in our communities.
Because of you, we feel safe wherever we go and can have fun with our friends and family.
Your bravery doesn't go away. We are very inspired by your courage and strength.
You are valued and appreciated.
And we love you!
First responders, thank you for taking care of the community. You are heroes. First responders, thank you for all your help. You make our community safe.
Thank you, first responders, for making us feel safe.
For all the hard work you've done for us.
Los policías son importantes porque cuidan la comunidad. Por eso les doy gracias a los policías.
Thank you, first responders. You are our heroes, and we appreciate you.
Dear Fire. Yes.
Thank you, first responders. You are our heroes, and we appreciate you.
Dear firefighters, thank you for keeping our community safe. You are so appreciated for your brave work. Thank you for getting people to safety first. I am thankful for your service. Thank you, brave heroes. From Madeline.
Thank you, first responders, for keeping us safe.
Gracias a las escoristas.
Dear first responder, thank you for all you do to keep us safe in our community. Please keep us safe from bad people. Firemen and women keep us safe from fires. EMTs drive ambulance and help them when they get there. Thank you. Love, Colin.
Thank you, first responders, for keeping us safe. Gracias por todo lo que haces.
Thank you for keeping us safe every day, first responders. Thank you, firefighters! Dear first responders, thank you for protecting us and saving lives.
And we're honored to be joined by representatives of some of our first responders today. We have Chief James Glidden from Huntington Manor Fire Department. Are you here? Come up to the front. We're gonna have get a couple things for you. We have Chief Scott Sykoff from the Melville Fire Department. Chief, you here? And we have Captain Matthew Phillip from the Huntington Community First Aid Squad. Also a Walman High School graduate. And my neighbor. And do we have any other representatives from Huntington Manor or Melville? Okay. And we also have our junior program today, so I'd like to introduce Risa and Dominic Pastore to discuss our junior firefighter program. You want to tell us a little bit about the junior firefighters?
Hello everyone, my name is Junior Captain Sean Burke with the Huntington Manor Junior Fire Program. As a program, we try to teach the community about fire science, fire service, and the importance about it, and while also teaching leadership and teamwork. Lieutenant Ryan Pastore is going to go more into it.
Thank you, Sean. So as you said, my name is Ryan Pastore. That's my mom and dad right there. Like Sean said, we aim to teach our youth about the fire service, and even if they may not want to join the fire service later in life, we also strive to teach them basic life skills that are necessary for basically any job: leadership, communication skills, teamwork, stuff like that. Just a little walkthrough of what our year is like. Every month we hold a training, a meeting, and a social event to try and get our juniors as much experience as possible. And each training aims to focus on a different part of the fire service, such as vehicle extrication, hose handling, the Scott Pack, SCBA, the big tanks you see us wear on our backs, stuff like that. Other stuff we do is our social events, our team bonding stuff to try and get us closer together as a community. We'll do stuff like ice skating, RPM, and just general fun stuff of that nature, anything that the juniors suggest. That's about it. Oh, one last thing. We take members 13 to 17. Any of you are interested?
Recruiting. come on up and join us up here? And then I think we have some tokens of appreciation for you from Ms. Colon and Mr. Bernadelle. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, and we have some certificates of. We also have some certificates of recognition for our junior members. Captain Sean Burke. Thank you. Lieutenant Ryan Pastore. Daniela Bossano. Who's the secretary? Thank you. Marciano Allo as treasurer. Oh, that's nice. I like that shirt. Mateo Holmgren. Riley Rodriguez. Oh, there's Riley. Oh, I'm sorry. Come here. Thank you. Jacob Roman. Thomas Spadafora. Christian Umana. Yep. Okay. And Mia Velasquez. No, Mia. Okay. All right. In addition, we have some proclamations. So we have a proclamation for the Melville Fire Department. Chief? Huntington Manor Fire Department, Chief Glidden. And last but certainly not least, Captain Phillip, Huntington Community First Aid Squad. One more round of applause for our first responders. We'll take a picture with the Board of Ed. Thank you once again from the bottom of our heart for everything you do for the South Huntington School District, but the entire community throughout the year. We know how much time you give away from your family and friends and how you do this on a volunteer basis, and we thank you so much for everything that you do. It's so appreciated, and that's why we wanted to start First Responders Day in South Huntington. I think it's a great tradition that we'll celebrate each year. Thank you. right, so we continue to celebrate the 100th anniversary of our school district throughout the year, but our next momentous occasion for that is on December 10th, our next Board of Education meeting. That is our official 100th anniversary on December 10th, so it's going to be a very special board meeting, one like we haven't done before. It'll be a celebration beginning at 6:30 to 7:30, where we'll be having a celebration and a reception in the Performing Arts Center lobby with all the pictures throughout all of the years of our district and our community, followed by 7:30, beginning with a musical and dance performance from every building, as well as special presentations and recognition. So it's going to be a really special occasion. So continuing to celebrate our 100th anniversary, this month up is Stimson Middle School, and I'd like to introduce Principal Mike Duggan to describe.
Good evening, Mrs. Ciapetta and the Board of Education, Dr. D'Elia and the Cabinet, families, colleagues, and students. To really set the tone and the mood, we're going to start a little different right now. We're going to have Miss Orlando come in and start with a really special presentation from 1924. So just give them a moment, they'll be right in.
They're going back on the podium, on the risers. Yeah.
We're thrilled for you tonight because we know how much you believe in us, support our hardworking teachers and staff, and support our administration. No matter what challenges life brings, we know we are in the right place for learning at Stimson Middle School.
We love Stimson because we have great programs and opportunities. Thanks to our excellent principal, Mr. Duggan, and great teachers who care.
Especially that one over there, Miss Orlando. Miss Orlando cares about us all the time, no matter what day it is or what happens. Our teachers always put us first and make learning fun.
But our teachers couldn't do the great work that they do without the admin team. So tonight we thank you, the Board of Education, for all that you do. Anytime you need a group to sing, just let us know.
So please enjoy a song that was written exactly 100 years ago during the Roaring 20s by jazz composer Fats Waller. We performed it during the Amazing High Hold Games, coordinated by our Stimson admin team to celebrate our home, South Huntington School District, on its 100-year anniversary.
Everybody wants my baby, but my baby don't want nobody but me.
I don't remember if Yeah Jake was in the original song, but I like it. I really like it. Just a round of applause for Miss Orlando and the Jazz Choir as they walk out. So I am truly honored to be here tonight to commemorate the district's 100th anniversary on behalf of Henry L. Stimson Middle School. As many of you know, each school will be presenting at the Board of Education meetings over the next few months to celebrate this momentous occasion in their own special way. Tonight, we're happy to present our own special way through the High Hold Games. Last Friday, we resurrected an important community tradition which originated in our school's namesake over 100 years ago. The High Hold Games back in the 1900s was a way for Mr. and Mrs. Stimson to give back to their friends and neighbors from the area. The games were an important part of building strong ties within the community, celebrate friendly competition, foster neighborly spirit, teamwork, and a sense of community pride. The goals that Mr. Stimson had for his High Hold Games were the same that we have today for our revamped High Hold Games: to build a strong sense of community, bring families together, honor tradition, and of course, have fun. Last Friday was extremely fun. We had tons of games, including cornhole, pickleball, egg and a spoon relay, all culminating in a flag football tournament. We incorporated as much as possible from Mr. Stimson's original games, including giving all of our students and families apple cider and warm cinnamon donuts. In my opening remarks at the High Hold Games last Friday, I spoke about honoring the legacy of those who came before us. 100 years ago, when our district was first founded, the world was a very different place. The challenges facing education, the community, and the world at large were different. But the one constant that has remained throughout this century is the commitment to providing every single child with the opportunity to succeed, to grow, and to learn. That commitment, made by educators, parents, students, and community members, has been the foundation of this district's enduring legacy. The story of South Huntington is not just the story of academic achievement. It's a story of resilience, of community, and a shared belief in the power of education to transform lives. Over the past century, the district has evolved, it has adapted, and it has grown, just as the needs of our students and the world around us has changed. From its humble beginnings to the vibrant, diverse, and dynamic school district we are today, South Huntington has always been driven by a commitment to excellence and a belief in the potential of every single student who walks through our doors. We hope that our district enjoys another great 100 years and that the High Hold Games are an annual reminder of where we began and what greatness we can achieve. Thank you. Now, join me in welcoming Mr. Tomio, who will present a little bit of how High Hold came to be this year.
Thank you, Mr. Duggan. All right, so over the summer, our team sought to create a meaningful contribution to the centennial celebration while showcasing Stimson Middle School. Lacking the initial knowledge of who Henry L. Stimson was and his significance, we conducted thorough research and discovered that Stimson was once a resident near our middle school. He lived where now we call West Hills Day Camp, and this finding prompted further investigation from the team. It led us to connect with Robert Hughes, who is the Huntington Town historian, and he introduced us to the concept of what Stimson's High Hold Games were, what they were about, and why they were here in our great community. The games consisted of recreational and competitive games such as fox hunting, horse racing, barrel pushing, and a lot more. Mr. Hughes provided valuable insight and then directed us to the Huntington Historical Society. There, we had, couldn't tell you how much findings we found from the Huntington Historical Society. They have archives and artifacts, his top hat, his sword. I mean, we tried to get it to come to the Stimson High Hold Games, but they are under lock and key, literally. But this revelation unveiled an intriguing tradition that Stimson once hosted. Stimson's home was called the High Hold Estate, and is there where he would host his High Hold Games. The games were a way for him to invite all of his neighbors to his estate and to thank them for their sense of community. Stimson would often traverse through the neighborhood and impede on his surrounding neighbor's property. His event was a way for him to say thank you. He would host this invitation and post it through the Long Islander, and the event was open to all of his neighbors. The information sparked the administration team's enthusiasm and creativity, and we decided that we wanted to resurrect these games. Inspired by this rich history, the team began brainstorming how we were going to be able to revive and celebrate this 100-year-old tradition at our very own Henry Stimson Middle School. The key was being able to integrate it into our centennial celebration as a tribute to both past history and how to weave this event back into the fabric of our community to continue to build upon our great legacy. With this vision before us, we decided that a committee was needed, and to execute this plan, we collaborated with our PTA to assist in this grand adventure. Through the discovery of these games, we found out that Stimson's wife, Mabel, would serve apple cider donuts, and work with the local orchards to provide this. Our PTA generously donated the donuts, cider, and a commemorative cup to each of our attendees. Together with all our stakeholders, we were able to celebrate this momentous occasion in a familiar fashion as Henry L. Stimson once did. We're able to foster a wonderful evening of community, camaraderie, and competition. With this event, we had a slew of people. So Ms. Keating's going to come up and go through a list and do our thank yous.
Good evening, everyone. As Mr. Tomio said, the High Hold Games originated as a simple idea in late July, but it quickly grew into an unforgettable event that revived a century-old tradition. The success was made possible by the contributions of many key individuals, and I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge their efforts. First, we thank the High Hold Committee members for their time and creativity in creating this event, as well as the Stimson Technology Department for their handiwork in constructing cornhole boards and barrels for our games. A special shout out to Mr. Balicki and Mr. Collins for going above and beyond. We have to thank the Silas Wood and Stimson PTA for generously donating the donuts and cider that was served to all of our guests in attendance, as well as the commemorative plastic cups given to our guests. The PTA also donated the decorations used for the event and our incredible fence design along Oakwood Road. A very special thanks to the Stimson Life Skills students and staff for donating their time and skills to prepare the apple cider donuts for our event. We thank the Booster Club for selling pizza and refreshments, and the Teacher Center for printing some of our amazing posters that we displayed at the High Hold Games. Special thank you to the National Junior Honor Society members for volunteering their time and selling snacks. We thank the Huntington Manor Fire Department for all they do, and the Hale Site Fire Department for bringing their 1920s vintage fire truck to the High Hold Games. A special shout out to Mr. Thomas for developing artificial intelligence Henry L. Stimson and bringing him back to life to open the games. We'd like to thank Robert Hughes, the town of Huntington's historian, and the Huntington Historical Society for providing access to some amazing artifacts. Dr. Corrado, we thank you for providing us with the World War I reenactment and historical memorabilia. The High Hold Games would not have been the same without the sweet sounds of Stimson's Jazz Choir, as you all heard tonight. Thank you to the choir and their director, Ms. Orlando, and to Mr. Rovolino for providing sound support. Thank you to the South Huntington PR Department for documenting this historic event for our community. Our clerical staff generously donated their time to help decorate our halls, and we sincerely thank them for that. And to our dedicated custodial and buildings and ground staff, so much went into preparing for the High Hold, and it was expertly executed because of you. Thank you so very much. We have to thank our security staff as well. They went above and beyond to ensure the safety of our guests. A sincere thank you to Seasonal Scapes for generously donating flower arrangements that made the High Hold Games stage so beautiful and festive. We extend our gratitude to the many local elected officials that supported the High Hold Games with their attendance as well. Most importantly, the High Hold Games were so much fun because of the amazing students of Stimson Middle School. We have to thank them for being so involved in their school community and bringing the games to life with their cheers and laughter. And finally, to the Board of Education and District Administration, we thank you for your support in this endeavor. The success of the High Hold Games is a shared success for South Huntington School District, and we could not have done it without you. Please join me in welcoming Mr. DeMartinez. He's the creative genius that came up with tonight's video presentation that we'll be sharing very shortly.
The donuts were amazing, I have to say. They did a good.
They were good.
They were very good, yeah.
So before I begin, I actually want to take a moment to thank you, Mrs. Keating, for the thanks that you shared on behalf of our administrative team. This event was an incredible highlight of an already amazing year, not only working alongside the three of you, but everyone that makes the South Huntington School District a special place that we all know and love. So ultimately, we sought to bring the Henry L. Stimson High Hold Games back to life in celebration of our district's 100-year anniversary, in part because we hope to live up to the original ideals of the games that Stimson himself saw in them. Ideals like community, friendship, giving, competition were all at the forefront of the games we held on Friday. We hope to not only foster a deeper connection between our school and our community, but also a deeper connection to the broader historical legacy that we all share and take part in. Students no doubt felt that legacy on Friday, and it's why we're committed to keeping the High Hold Games an annual tradition for Stimson Middle School moving forward. But who am I to tell you about the High Hold Games when we could watch the games as they took place for our school and community last Friday night? So without further ado, let's take a look at how it all unfolded.
Good evening, honored Board of Education members and district administration. It is my true privilege being here to speak with you all this evening. I want to start by taking an opportunity to thank the South Huntington School District for naming your middle school after me. South Huntington was home to Mabel and I, and we cherished many fond memories here. As you know, the Highhold Games were a special part of my life. At the culmination of each year's games, we would present the victors of each event with a celebratory stein, engraved with the name of each winner. I am proud to present each of you, the South Huntington Board of Education and Cabinet, with a stein and gift commemorating the new beginning of these Highhold Games. May each year be filled with the competition, camaraderie, and community that came to define this 100-year-old tradition.
Oh wow, awesome. What a great job. That was amazing. Mr. Toto's not here, but when Silas Wood prepares their presentation, they're going to have to find his AI voice.
Finally tonight, before we move into the curriculum piece. So sorry, Ms. Kavanaugh. It is truly my pleasure tonight to bring the first puzzle piece of an art installation that will be displayed right here at JKAO. Each of our schools is designing an individual puzzle piece that signifies the unity of the district for our centennial anniversary. We hope that you enjoy Stimson's piece of the South Huntington puzzle.
Oh wow, beautiful. Beautiful, Mr. Duggan, beautiful. Thank you so much.
I'll give this down when I swear I'm done.
Wow. No, you could do more. That was great. Thank you. Excellent job. Highhold Games was an amazing success. Your team is doing a great job. So excellent. Thank you so much. All right. It was tough.
Tonight, I am here to share and showcase some of the highlights from what's happening from the hard work of our teachers and students in our classrooms. So not quite as flashy, but still very impressive. So to start off, we have a profile of a graduating class at Whitman, the size over the course of the last 3 years, including some of the different designations that our students receive as they're graduating. You will notice the new addition of the Seal of Civic Readiness last year, and the increase from last year to this, this is 2023 to 2024, so you can see an increase in that number as well. Again, something to celebrate are students who are graduating with a Regents Diploma with advanced designation. This can include the Advanced Diploma, Advanced Regents Diploma, and with honors. And this year we did decide to share the Regents data from Stimson Middle School separate and apart from the high school. So here you can see on this slide all of the Regents exams that are taken by 8th grade students at Stimson Middle School. Looking at Algebra 1, I included both the passing rate and the mastery rate. So our mastery rate is the level of students achieving a level 5, which is 85% on the exam or above. Included also for earth science and living environment. And you'll note throughout the presentation, 2020 and 2021 are not included, as in 2020, as you know, we did not have Regents exams, and in 2021, only select exams were given and exemptions were included, so it's definitely difficult to include that information, but we did want to include the snapshot of pre-pandemic versus post-pandemic so that you can get a picture of how our students were performing prior to that and how they are performing now. And what you'll see also throughout, again, that emphasis on the mastery level. Mastery really indicates that students have mastered the state standards. And so what we're really always looking for is to increase our mastery level. And I think you'll notice this throughout. Again, these for the middle school, these are our accelerated students who are able to take Regents level coursework in 8th grade. So their scores, their passing rates are significantly high. You'll also notice a nice level of mastery rates. And that's going to, continue through the high school, but you will see a difference in those performance levels. And each slide will indicate the exams for a different subject area. So these are all of the mathematics regents that were taken at Walt Whitman High School last year. So again, you'll see Algebra 1, the number is 401 students who took that test. Again, 81% a level 3 or above. Level 3 is considered passing. And our level 4 and level 5. I did include level 4 where that's something that the state includes. Some of the tests are broken into 4 levels, some are broken into 5. But I do think looking at an 80 and above is considered college and career ready as well. So including that number, if you combine the students who are getting a level 4 and 5, you can see that that's a significant percentage. But again, that's always something that we're looking to increase. Okay, these are our science exams. So we have earth science. Again, some of the students are taking this at Stimson, so those students wouldn't be represented in that number. That's why you have 285. 460 students taking living environment, 293 students taking chemistry, and 113 taking physics. Our ELA Regents exam is slightly different than the others, where we have our students, the majority of the students do take the Regents exam in January. This is a cumulative test where our teachers feel that our students are prepared to take this in January. An added bonus of that is that that's one less Regents exam that most of our 11th graders have to take in June when they're already taking a significant number of tests. And as you can see, our students do score well on this exam. At the bottom portion, I did include the combined January and June scores without duplicates because that gives you a better picture of the total passing rate. You will have students who do take the test in January and then again in June, whether it's because they didn't pass the first time or they're just looking to increase their score. We used to have our students who are in the AP level take the Regents exam in January as well. That's something that we shifted away from about 2 years ago with feedback from our teachers who really felt like it interrupted the flow of preparing the students for the AP exams. So this number, the January number, does not include our AP students. Okay. For social studies, you can see both global history and US history. Where there's the asterisk, you can see that that was a new exam given that year. So that was also something for algebra that I didn't mention on that slide. Last year was the first year of the new Algebra 1 Regents. So in 2023, we had a new US history Regents. And there was a year where there was going to be a new US history Regents, but there was an issue with the exam, so it did not take place. So that's just grayed out. But that was not specific to South Huntington. That was all of New York State. So again, you can see our passing level, our level 4 and level 5 mastery levels for each of these exams. And again, why does it matter? You know, when you're looking at mastery rate and you're looking at college and career ready, for us as educators, we're always looking to prepare students for whatever's next. And you want students to have that mastery of the content so that they can move into higher level coursework, whether that be in high school or college, or be prepared for the world of work. So we're always looking and striving to increase that mastery rate and make sure that our students are prepared. And that is a district goal this year, is to really look at the mastery rates and see how we can target areas to improve across the board. And just to get a snapshot of how do we use this data, because I know that was a lot of numbers and I had a lot of notes that I was going to explain up and down. But at the end of the day, just what's really important to know is we're looking at these numbers. We're talking about these numbers. As soon as the region scores start coming in, we start having conversations from the district level with the buildings. We're talking to our chairs, our supervisors, our teachers, to really just try to isolate any issues or things that we can improve on and really celebrate the success of the work that we've put in. There'll be, in future years, there could be adjustments to lessons, activities, test preparation that can be made. Sometimes we add new additional programs or supports for students that may need them. Students may get added to academic extra help classes. There's all sorts of things that we do to make sure that in the future we're seeing that improvement and that the students are given the support that they need, and the teachers as well. So shifting into our AP test scores, this is our advanced placement tests where students who earn a 3 or above can get college credit for taking these courses. Something really important to highlight and showcase and celebrate is the increasing number of students who are taking AP classes. Again, a great indicator of, a great indicator of how our students will perform in college is giving them access to college level content while in high school. And you can see across the years since 2020, we have a significant increase in the number of students who have access to APs, including an increase of 66 students just from 2023 to 2024. And again, looking at the total number of students who are taking an AP with a score of 3 or above, you can see that score even increased from one year to the next. So that's a great thing to celebrate for our AP students. This just shows you a breakdown for each of the AP exams, how many students, you can get a sense of how many students are taking the exams and how they are performing. Again, as I mentioned, a 3 or above is the likeliest to be taken as credit in a college level. However, access to these classes gives the students the ability to take college level rigorous courses. So even participating in the class itself is something to celebrate. These are additional courses that our students take AP classes in and the various scores that they received. Again, what we're looking at on the back end is something that's much more thorough than this, where we're looking deeply into each of these tests. Who are the students and how did they score? What were the areas and topics? We'll get a nice breakdown, both for Regents exams and AP exams for each of the contents. Where are the areas where our students performed well? Where are the areas where they struggled? And we can address that systemically. And just so you can see at the bottom, our total number of exams and the total number of students who got scores of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And again, if you look at those numbers, you have about 60, 70, 65% of students who are going to get college credit for the courses that they took, which is excellent. And again, just looking at that over time, overall score of a 3+, score summary from 2020 to 2024. It's important to note that in 2020, the AP exams were given virtually, so that number was semi-inflated. However, you can see that we're close to hitting that again at this point, which is really something to be proud of. Again, looking at the total number of students who have access to taking the AP exams, our graduating class summary from last year, almost 43% of students had, of our seniors had scored 3 or higher in at least one of their AP exams. So again, that gives them access to college credit for taking that course and a leg up as they enter college. Quite a number of our students received AP Scholar designations in May of 2024. Listed there is what each of those distinctions means. And this is very exciting to share also that Walt Whitman High School made the AP School Honor Roll, which means that we have a silver medal for last year, looking at our college culture, our college credit, and our college optimization, in addition to an AP Access Award, which shows that we're giving access to underrepresented groups and populations and making sure that every student has access to take AP exams and courses. Any questions? That was a lot of information.
One comment, I think the passing rates on the AP exam is great because even as we've increased the number of total exams, the passing rate is steady. So that's wonderful. Yeah. Just one question on the mastery rates for the Regents. I noticed it was pretty much consistent across the board, pre-pandemic versus post-pandemic.
Yes.
But mastery rates did dip post-pandemic versus pre-pandemic. How would you explain that?
Yes. Well, I mean, obviously our students are still recovering from the learning loss of the pandemic. However, I do think at this point we've made a significant comeback. Some of the exams are new exams, which have a different format. And again, our students are getting used to taking those rigorous tests again. In 2022, we still had some of the appeals and exemptions in place. And so for those several years where students really weren't required to take the regents, and if they chose not to, you are seeing that impact of students who haven't had as much exposure to state standard test taking. Sure. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Take 5 minutes break before the regular board meeting. Is that a 1 minute or ready? Okay. All right. Time to move on to our business agenda. All right. I'll take a motion to adopt the agenda. Mr. Joyner, seconded by Ms. Meyer. Any questions on the agenda? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, items 1 through H require one resolution for adoption. Those are our minutes, financial items, bills, and bids. One bid. Motion. Mr. Biangasso, seconded by Mr. Scragg. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Communications are listed. We have a couple communications all related to the New York State Education Department's proposed, well, not proposed, regional emergency regionalization plan. I'll hold those communications because board is going to be discussing that on new business item number 5, and then we can take any questions or comments after the board has had an opportunity to discuss and after Ms. Kavanaugh has presented a couple slides on the regionalization timeline. We'll move into new business. We have new business item number 1 is the approval of a donation from the Huntington Manor Fire Department. They had to leave. They had to go to a fire. So they got an emergency call. So that's and it's a very generous donation in the amount of $1,500 for the erection of a wildcat statue. Is there a motion? Mr. Bronson, seconded by Mr. Biangasso. All in favor? Any opposed? And thank you to Huntington Manor once again for your support. And they did this very nicely. They raised $750 from their fire department members who are Walt Whitman and South Huntington alumni, and then the department matched that as well. So, Mr. Conway, some more money for you. Okay. Moving on to, we have some more donations. The rest are related to Winter Wonderland. Dr. D'Elia will walk us through those. The first is the approval of a donation from Elliot Leonardo of Signature Premier Properties in the amount of $1,000 for our upcoming Winter Wonderland extravaganza. Motion. Ms. Meyer, second. Mr. Bronson. Dr. D'Elia?
Yes, this is a very generous donation from somebody who donates quite often, from Mr. Leonardo. Donating $1,000 towards our Winter Wonderland that will be taking place on December 1st.
Thank you, Dr. D'Elia. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, thank you, Mr. Leonardo. Moving on to new business item number 3 is the approval of the donation for Laser Industries, also for Winter Wonderland. Motion. Mr. Bronson, seconded by Mr. Biangasso. Dr. D'Elia.
Yes, another generous donation of $2,500 from Laser Industries towards our Winter Wonderland.
Huh? Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Moving on to our last donation, approval of a donation from Renew Contracting and Restoration. Motion. Mr. Bronson, second. Mr. Scragg. Dr. D'Elia again.
Yes, this is another donation in the amount of $3,000 for our Winter Wonderland. We're very thankful to Renew Contracting and Restoration for being so generous to support in all 3, between Mr. Leonardo, Renew, and Laser. And there's also more coming, I believe.
Okay,
so we hope to have more prior to the event taking place, because we're trying to get the event to be just about 100% paid for by donations. So some very generous people out there looking to help our community.
Excellent, thank you. Always a well-attended event. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, thank you. And we'll be recognizing all of these individuals or entities at the conclusion of the school year in our Friends of South Huntington celebration. Okay, moving on to item number 5 is the discussion of the SED's regionalization emergency rulemaking, which is a hot button issue to say the least, and has generated a tremendous amount of discussion, particularly on Long Island. There's a lot going on with the state lately. There's kind of a trifecta of issues. We have regionalization, we have pathways to graduation changing, And we also have what we anticipate to be foundation aid changes to the formula, which are accompanying, or will follow rather, the Rockefeller report that the governor and the state commissioned last year. So it's a busy time, and we wait to see what the impact will be on South Huntington. There's been webinars, there's been letter writing, there's been threatened lawsuits over regionalization. There's probably some misinformation because of a lack of information, and everything in between on regionalization. So there's a lot of dates that are floating around, so we thought we'd put some information regarding those dates out there, what we know, what we don't know. And so I'll turn it over first to Ms. Kavanaugh to discuss briefly the timetable and a little intro on regionalization. Then I'll turn it over to Dr. D'Elia to just explain what he's hearing from his cluster superintendents, and I'll open it up to the board to discuss our thoughts. And Ms. Kavanaugh, great job, by the way, on the presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. So tonight I'm sharing a bit of information about the regionalization initiative from the New York State Department of Education, and really just keeping it brief, but just to share an overview of what this is. Regionalization is defined by New York State Education Department as a collaborative model for addressing student needs and exploring operational efficiencies where districts can engage in conversations and partner with others around a variety of solutions. So they give the examples of advanced coursework, shared staff, extracurricular activities, a range of subject areas, regional industry partners, and shared student support services. So the timeline from what we understand and what has been shared with us is that the expectation of school districts right now is to complete a needs assessment. So this is a very lengthy survey that we've been asked to do. It includes a lot of data that's just being pulled from various things that we've already reported, but also includes asking questions related to academics, culture, and different parts of our operational efficiencies to see where we have strengths as a district and where we may have some needs. So you can see the timeline there. All of the districts in the region would submit their needs assessment, and then our BOCE superintendent will look at all of the different assessments and is tasked then with creating one regional plan, which would include options for districts to participate in various programs based on interest. In a nutshell.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, regionalization. Yes, what is it? I don't know. I still don't know what it is. And that's part of the major concern that's out there. And speaking with superintendents from the area, we just don't know exactly what this looks like. And one of my biggest concerns is the state is not really giving out any specific examples as to what this looks like. You know, at our last board meeting, the board approved a service for COMAC to provide for one of our students in the area of special education. That's an example of regionalization, us working with another school district. I'm not sure what they want to do differently moving forward. And so, as Mrs. Ciapetta mentioned, you got three things going on at the same time. You have regionalization. There was an emergency order rule put in effect in September 25th, I believe. Then you have early December. We're expecting the Rockefeller Institute to discuss their new foundation aid formula. And then you have the pathways to graduation. And all of this is happening at once. And for me, I've been in this industry a long time. It seems like there's some kind of plan that connects all three of them. And you know, the word I've been using with the board is skeptical. I'm very skeptical of what this is, what it will turn out to be, because we just don't have a lot of information on it. And that's not just me saying this. The other superintendents are in the same boat. I know some districts, have really, expressed really serious concern about it. And listen, at the point that I'm at right now is that I just don't know what I'm explaining to people, what it looks like at the end of the day. And listen, at the end of the day, as superintendent, if this was something that was really going to benefit the South Huntington community, it would be in my best interest to recommend things. But I can't recommend something if I don't know what it's about. And, one of the important things also is that every district is unique. And South Huntington is unique in different ways. And we need to protect, I need to protect, the board needs to protect our community, our tax dollars. there's a reason why, we're ranked so high. We make a lot of, I would think, with the community, everybody together, all together, making good decisions to make this a wonderful school district. Why is it that we now have to go to the district superintendent of Western Suffolk BOCES to now make decisions on the part of the school district? I don't know if that's their direct intention, but you elect a Board of Education to make those decisions, and regionalization is just not, I just don't know what it is. I'm just being as honest as I can. And the only thing we're required to do right now, as Ms. Kavanaugh presented, is to submit our strengths and needs survey, which we will do by the deadline. And then after that, it's supposed to be a conversation with the district superintendent of Western Suffolk BOCES to see where we're going with this as far as, being part of the conversation. I am starting to hear that there's this potential, because they're getting a lot of backlash, as, if anybody has really read up on this, there is a lot of concern that you'll be able to, potentially not be part of this. But we want to make sure, if we're not going to be part of this, if that's what a decision the board makes, we want to make sure there's no consequences. There's no reduction of state aid. And we just don't know what this looks like right now. But we haven't committed to anything. We just have to submit our survey and be part of conversations moving forward. And that could be the extent of it. But I'm a little concerned when I see three major things in education going on at the same exact time. And there seems to be some kind of grand plan. And I don't know if it's a heads up that there'll be a serious reduction of state aid moving forward into the future. Could affect districts differently. The pathways to graduation, which there seems to be some good pieces to it. But it's considered part of the strengths and needs survey to have a profile of a graduate of Walt Whitman High School. And, they haven't really approved it yet, the pathways, but they're asking us to put information into the strengths and needs survey. So there's some skepticism on my part regarding regionalization. Everybody I've been speaking with, there's not one person I could find that's pumping their fist in the air. It's like, wow, I can't believe that this is awesome that they're doing this. I haven't spoken to that individual yet. And if they do, we'd have a lengthy conversation because they may just know something that I don't know. So, I wish I had more to report on it as far as definitive information. But I basically gave you the facts of where we are with it right now.
Yeah, and I think we don't really know what this is providing. What are the benefits? It's not like they're creating something that we couldn't have done before, as you've said, right? We've done regionalization, in many ways, right? We have a regional swim team because we don't have enough. We pool our swimmers together. We have approved fencers from other school districts to participate on our fencing team. We have purchasing cooperatives, through food or BOCES for computer and technology. BOCES, our students go to BOCES, right? Whether for cosmetology or photography or any number of other things. So the question is, what is this process really providing for that we don't already have? And it's really unclear. And when that happens, it leads to speculation about what this really could be. I don't think it's about consolidating districts because I think that anyone that proposed to consolidate districts will be voted out of office in 2 seconds. So I don't think politicians like to get reelected, and nobody could possibly be stupid enough to propose consolidating districts, forced consolidation. There is a mechanism to consolidate districts if both boards of education districts agree to it. So really, what is the purpose of this? Some people have speculated that this is a way to save money because big cuts are coming to foundation aid. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? It leaves so many unanswered questions. Why are the big 5 school districts exempted from this? And this was also done on emergency basis, this rulemaking. What was the emergency that precipitated this? I haven't seen anything that changed so dramatically that we needed this to be done immediately and on what's pretty rapid timetable for SED. SED doesn't do anything quickly. It takes them 8 to 10 months to approve a simple renovation to a classroom. Yet, in that time, we're going to have regionalization plans completed for the whole state. So, it leads to a lot of unanswered questions. Thoughts from the board? Ms. Meyer.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta and Dr. DeLeon. Thank you, Ms. Kavanaugh, for your explanation as well. I think as board members, we had the opportunity to attend a webinar and a recording that, did not do a good job explaining anything beyond what we already know. And we've had the opportunity to review a number of letters from other district superintendents, from Nassau Suffolk School Board Association, New York State School Board Association, as well as some legal documents from experts that are challenging whether, this is even constitutional for them to do in the way that they have done it. So could you just give us a few examples of what, as a board in a district, we may be able to do? I know the rulemaking is open for a public comment period now. What would that look like if our board wanted to, demand some more clarity, both around the process, the potential outcomes, any ramifications for opt-in, opt-out? What would that look like for public comment period? Are there other opportunities for us to write a letter on behalf of our district or join up with other like-minded local districts? I know there's some other districts that have joined up in lawsuits, and Mr. Ciapetta mentioned this as well. Is that something that we should also be evaluating?
Yeah, I mean, the board has numerous options. You mentioned letter writing, which they could do. They could join with other districts as far as being part of a lawsuit. There's a coalition out there that's against realization of different Board of Education. So, expressing concern, you have many different venues to go through. But as a board, you would then have to decide exactly which way you want to, if that's the area you want to move in expressing opposition to regionalization. So,
well, I'd like to suggest that our board either, chooses a way to ask for more clarity during the public comment period, whatever mechanism that might be, or to write a letter on behalf of our board. And I don't know if Dr. D'Elia, there's an opportunity for us to have a discussion whether we want to send it in as an individual district and board, or whether, again, there are other nearby like-minded school districts that if we sent it together, would that hold more clout? I think we certainly need to demand more clarity around the process, the timeline, and the outcome. And then also, I know another major issue that's come into question is really the autonomy of districts. We know that they can't necessarily force consolidation, but some of the language seems quite direct and forceful, and there seems to be speculation that BOCE superintendents would then have, much more authoritative power, which would diminish the autonomy that we have as a local board. And I know these are conversations that you're having as well. So I would love, if we write a letter or participate in the public comment period, to express our concern around that as well, because it is our duty to protect our own community taxpayers, students, and staff.
and there's, multiple ways. You just don't have to pick, one way. If you want to go a couple of different routes, you can as well.
And we do have this letter from the Coalition of New York State School Board Members. I'm not quite sure how this coalition formed because the signatories, it's a little strange. Because it seems they have districts, but not every board trustee signed on to it for some reason. So it seemed to be like, some districts had, East Meadow had 2 people who signed on to it, but not the whole board. I don't know if that's wise. I mean, I think it's always better to do something as a whole board. That kind of stands out to me. It looks like a hodgepodge here. You do have the lawsuit, and we have, I don't know, it's not a lawsuit yet. It was a letter filed by the Regano Law Firm, hired as special counsel to Locust Valley, Massapequa, Cold Spring Harbor, and Oyster Bay. I think they've got some really good, strong grounds here as for why it could be unconstitutional, though. I feel like there could be a standing problem with a lawsuit like this yet because it hasn't gone into effect, and they're really talking about hypotheticals because we don't really know what this is doing. It's hard to say what the harm of the rule is, because we just don't have a lot of information. So I think maybe letter writing plus, comment to the state might be a good route to go. We can do a combination of both of those. Thoughts? Mr. Bronson?
Yeah, I would actually think that letter writing with comments would be the appropriate action, at least from my standpoint. I agree with you that joining litigation at this stage just seems unnecessary and probably premature. I do feel that, again, as Ms. Meyer said, just the lack of clarity, and I'd also add the conflicting information that we've received is also what I find particularly troubling. Plus, obviously, as people have mentioned, the emergency. What is the emergency? So I think, following the rules that they set, we do have the ability to make public comment. And I know in the past, certain times we have written a letter, and I agree with you, Mr. Ciapetta, that it'd be good to come from the entire board. Would be what I would recommend.
Mr. Scragg?
Yes, I think
during this public comment period, we do need to go on a more of a fact-finding mission. As Dr. Dalia mentioned, in that 90-minute seminar where many of us thought that they were going to completely explain what regionalization is, they did not do any of that, and they just used the buzzword conversation, but they really didn't tell us what that conversation was about. So I think, letter writing at this time, I do agree that joining a lawsuit is premature, as we don't even know what we would be suing over, because they haven't given us a clear picture of what this even is. But we do need to, speak our mind and ask, some very serious, pointed questions about what this would look like when it hits the ground running. So that's where I'm at.
And you make a good point about conversation. That's something that the Coalition of State School Board members put in their letter. They said a conversation does not need mandates, timeliness, and enforcement. The emergency regulation does all three. And we can have a conversation without the state telling us to do it and to submit a 50-page package.
That's what the entire 90 minutes was boiled down to. This is just getting a conversation going, but what's the emergency? Like, why is the conversation even started? You didn't even tell us that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why are we forced to have the conversation? Mr. Biangasso.
Yes. First of all, I agree with Dr. Dalia in the respect that it's kind of hard to say you're for or against something when you don't know what it is. And certainly, I think we wouldn't be doing our due diligence to say we're automatically opposed to something just because we don't know enough about it. That being said, I do object to the process. I think it's forced. At least it seems forced. It seems rushed, unclear, and it sounds like that it's taking local and community control away. So those are four things in theory that the process, in the very least, I think needs to be discussed. And I agree that I think a letter writing campaign to at least get information before we say yay or nay one way or the other is probably the way to go. I certainly agree that joining a lawsuit, as Mr. Scragg said, what are you joining a lawsuit about? We don't know enough about it. I think if anyone on this table was asked to sit here and give a discussion on it, I don't think any of us could, to be honest. And I think there are examples of things that we are doing. We kind of explained that already. So there are times that we share resources. So if we're already doing that, what does this mean? So that's how I feel. Yeah. It's the process.
Yeah, the loss of local control could be particularly concerning, particularly since it seems to empower the district superintendent who's unelected to have more power than the elected boards of education. Any other comments?
I know we've seen one letter from one of our New York State senators for our local representation. But Dr. Dalia or Mr. Ciapetta, are you aware of anything else that our local elected officials are doing to help either push the state to give us more clarity or just to advocate on our behalf?
I'm not hearing a lot from our local officials. I think they're in the dark like we are.
Maybe we can consider joining forces with them as well, just in terms of putting pressure on SED in order to give us some answers.
Yeah, we may want to address our letter to them as well, to CC them. I'd probably send it to SED, the assistant commissioner, and our elected officials, as well as Governor Hochul. Okay. Yes,
one other thing I want to add, and maybe I misunderstood it, but part of the language says that there is incentive. So we're using the term incentive. Are we assuming it's financial incentive to those that opt in and participate? Because anytime you say that, that's a vague term. So what exactly does that mean when we say that there's incentives for those that are joining or sharing resources or maybe have more to give? Right. I'm skeptical, but anybody know what incentive is?
No, could be a letter saying thank you. Like, yeah, what it's, yeah.
Mr. Bronson.
I was just going to add to your point about the loss of local control. That's one of the things that I think makes sort of New York, from an educational standpoint, special. Because I've lived in other parts of the country, and some school districts are driven by a county, much larger base. And while certainly you could argue there's pros and cons, I think one of the reasons I think New York education is so good, particularly on Long Island, but again throughout the state, is just that ability to have that local control to basically fine tune what meets the best needs of the community and our students. So I do think it's an important point you raised.
Thank you.
All right,
Just
so,
one more thing.
what's it? Yeah, go ahead.
Just with the board's permission, we'd like to put a tab up on the website with some information regarding regionalization. If there's a letter that we compose, we'd like to put that up on there.
And you can include this as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we'll have some different informative pieces up on the website, hopefully by tomorrow, no later than Friday morning. Yeah.
Mr. Morris, any word from NICET on any positions?
Same thing. We're just waiting for information. I know we sent a formal request to the state to get more information, and we haven't received anything yet.
Okay, great, thank you. And we did have a couple of communications on this. Did anyone from the public want to address the board on this topic? Yes. Oh. Yeah, if you could come to the microphone, sorry.
Yeah, I agree. It's murky and scary because, as we've seen very recently, our control of our district is really important to us. But have any of you reached out to the other districts that have actually started this lawsuit? Because maybe they have information that we don't have. Like maybe those board members know something we don't.
I'll speak to that piece. Some people in our community think they're going to lose control in 2025, that board is not going to exist. There's some we just got to be, the sky's not falling because we haven't done anything yet. So I want to be real careful that, there's, like I said, the word I'm using is skepticism. We don't know what this really looks like. But those 4 districts, one of them is part of my cluster, and he doesn't have more information than I do at all. So, because we've had joint conversations, and that's been the hot topic amongst in my superintendent meetings that we're talking about this, and and I'm questioning them because some of them, a few of them, are more total line of this may be a great thing. Okay, but what do you know about it? And I'm not getting anything, and there's nothing that's etched in stone that's saying it's going to be local control is going to be diminished. That's something that we're kind of putting together and we're concerned about. That could happen, but there's no definitive answers as to these 4 districts that have joined the lawsuit. And I'm sure that number will grow from 4. In a few weeks, I'm sure it will get higher. I just don't think they have anything different than what we've talked about here tonight. Because we are reaching out. That's part of my job here, to make sure I keep the board informed and the community informed about what we're doing and what this is all about. And we're not getting a whole lot from we do this all day, every day, and I'm not getting anything.
I would just add too that the lawsuits are based on procedural grounds as far as whether the emergency order was constitutional, so it's not so much the lawsuits based on their having additional information, but they're challenging the procedural way this was put in place. So.
Got it. Okay. And then somebody said the big 5 were excluded. What was what was excluded?
Those are the big 5 refers to the big cities in the state: Buffalo, Syracuse, New York City, Albany, and Rochester.
Okay, got it.
They're often exempt from things, but we're not sure why they're exempt here.
Okay.
That's another question.
Theoretically, they could benefit from whatever regionalization is too. I don't know. Why not?
So you plan to ask for clarification of what regionalization is, and then you'll share that information with the community once you get the answers?
Absolutely. We definitely share with board meetings, and the letter that the board puts together, we would share that with the community as well.
Post it to the regionalization.
And be on a website as well.
At this point, are they saying it's optional, or are they just saying, okay, this is happening, fill out the forms, and it's happening by this date?
It's both. What they're saying is, Roger Tillis was quoted in Newsday as the regent from our area here, saying that districts don't have to participate in this, but we just got to make sure that the language does get amended and hasn't been amended yet, and that there's no consequences. We don't want to, not participate, and all of a sudden we lose $3 million because, you're not part of, that money's going to another district now. So we have to be mindful of that, because that would really hurt our community. So,
or the incentives increased foundation aid, then it's a disincentive not to do it, right? It's an incentive, but it's also punishment.
Yeah, so there is discussion of that out there, of that. It seems like they're responding a little bit to a lot of the backlash that's coming from this. That they're kind of backtracking a little bit, saying, all right, but hey, out of 124 districts, if 80 of them don't participate, I don't think you have much. So, at the end of the day, for this regionalization to work the way they want it to work in New York State, And I'm telling you right now, there will be, you could see, there's districts that are not going to, there may be some districts that don't even put the needs and strength survey in. That I wouldn't recommend to do because, like I said, we've committed to nothing other than putting the survey in and being part of the conversation moving forward.
So if it turns out that, we kind of lose our power to, say, BOCES, would this board in general kind of be very against it, or?
Yes, I would think so. I mean, BOCES is there to assist us, not to lord over us, but
Yeah.
we don't want to get ahead of ourselves,
Yeah.
to see what this means, We really don't know yet, so.
All right, thank you so much.
No problem, thank you.
Can I just add that I agree with you all that it is premature right now to join the lawsuit, and I know there are some hypotheticals and some speculation in there, but I do think that we should stay open-minded because it is mostly, based on procedural things, and my concern is that we'll get closer and closer to the public comment period ending, and there's no guarantee that they're going to take action on anything that they've received during public comment period. So if our only recourse becomes challenging this based on procedural grounds, particularly use of the emergency mandate to even begin the assessment and the conversations, I just ask that we keep an open mind with that as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And I think we need to see what it means to be voluntary and what the incentives mean to be. The one thing is, though, that's why these districts, I spoke to Ingram and Smith, they have to get outside counsel. Ingram and Smith will not represent them in this endeavor. So that's why they found the Regano law firm, which is a very good law firm. But so, okay. Anyone else? Yes.
Hello. I'm actually just curious about the needs assessment itself, and you spoke a little bit about how our local school districts already kind of do this collaboration, and are they asking about that at all? Are they in some ways just, is state ed trying to just gather information about how local districts work together to maybe, create some models or learn from each other? I'm just curious, like, is the needs assessment asking any of that?
I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Kavanaugh because she's neck deep in it.
So the needs assessment is really compiling data that we have submitted to the state over the years about test scores. It really runs the gamut, but it's also asking us to measure ourselves against the profile of a graduate to see what courses we have that could lend to the different pathways for graduation. BOCES is very involved in our interconnectedness as a region, and a lot of the things that we do are through BOCES. We send students to BOCES vocational programs. We send students to BOCES special education programs. So we're already within that, and they're aware of it. And from what we've learned from them in this process, if we've learned a bit, we've learned that they're really going to be looking at everybody's plans, what they submit, and trying to come up with various things that you could opt into. So it might be a program about advanced coursework. It could be a program for something else. And a district would have the ability to choose whether or not to opt into each particular thing. But that has come more lately, that it's optional, based on feedback, I believe, that they're getting from surrounding districts.
Okay. And Dr. D'Elia, just a little bit of clarity around your skepticism. Are you skeptical that this is going to be like a big deal, or are you skeptical that it's like nothing's going to happen? Like what are you?
I mean, it ranges from both things you just said. It goes to both extremes there. I don't know. It could be a big deal at the end of the day if the course of action changes and the state decides, well, we're just going to push ahead. We could care less, and I think we would be joining the lawsuit at that point. But it also, if it's kind of falling flat on its face, like I talk about all the time with electric buses, that still hasn't fallen yet, but we hope they do very shortly because that's going to have a financial impact. That's going to be a lot worse than regionalization, I think. That's my skepticism is really coming from, I just don't know where this is going to end up going. That's why, as Ms. Myers said, being just open-minded to everything right now, because I'm not trusting that this is going to be, something that's really going to benefit South Huntington. So it could go in either direction right now. But all we have to do right now is a needs survey, and I know it's what's causing some frustration with that survey. The state, or what they're asking for, the state already has a lot of that information. And so that's the biggest gripe I'm getting from a lot of superintendents. It's a lengthy survey that has to be completed. I commend, everybody that's been working on it to put it together, but they want us to put all these links in, and it's like a link to state ed. So they kind of have it already. It just, something's not right here. That's just where my head is with this. So we're definitely, antennas are way up right now. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. So we'll continue to monitor this and update the community as developments warrant. We'll move on to new business item number 6 is the approval of a special education agreement between South Huntington and East Islip. Motion. Mr. Bronson, seconded by Mr. Biangasso. Mr. Conway.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. Tonight before you for the board's approval is a contract between South Huntington School District and East Islip School District. This particular contract would be in place so that we are then able to charge back the home district for students that we service through the special ed department who have an IEP, but were parentally placed at schools within the South Huntington boundaries yet reside in other districts.
Thank you, Mr. Conway. Any questions from the board? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to new business. Item number 7 is the approval of some obsolete IT equipment. Motion. Mr. Joyner, seconded by Mr. Scragg. Ms. Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. We have a list from Dr. Marley Rice, our supervisor of educational technology, of various IT equipment that is no longer viable for our use. This includes older generation desktop computers, iPads, etc., that are no longer supported and can't have upgrades for security purposes.
Okay, great, thank you. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Moving on to new business, item number 8 is the approval of obsolete items, high school mathematics textbook. Motion. Mr. Scragg, seconded by Mr. Bronson. Ms. Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. We have from Dr. Matt Murphy a list of mathematics textbooks that are no longer viable because they are not aligned to New York State standards. So they're no longer usable by our students or staff.
Thank you. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to item number 9 is approval of an out-of-state field trip and an overnight field trip for girls varsity cheerleading. Motion. Mr. Biangasso, seconded by Ms. Meyer. Ms. Kavanaugh again.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. We have a request for our girls varsity cheerleading to head to the Pocono Regional, which is a qualifying event for the National High School Cheerleading Championship in Florida, with a potential possible overnight field trip following that for the National High School Cheerleading Championship competition.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kavanaugh. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. New business item number 10 is the approval of a conference, technology conference. Motion. Mr. Scragg, seconded by Mr. Joyner. Ms. Kavanaugh, once again.
Okay, we have for the board's approval the attendance of 10 staff members at the International Society for Technology and Education Conference, which will take place in San Antonio, Texas, in June 29th to July 2nd. This is a fully grant-funded trip where we will take 10 staff members. This conference I have been to in the past many times is absolutely incredible, a wonderful opportunity for our staff members to be able to attend. And it also is partnered with ASCD this year, which is for curriculum development as well. So it's a combined conference, which will really be incredible.
Oh, great. Okay. So maybe they can present to the board on their findings. And,
Absolutely.
Okay, very good. Oh, well, I guess I'll have to present next year because it's
yes, in the fall.
late. Yeah, in the fall. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Thank you, Ms. Kavanaugh. Come back to you in a moment. Moving on to item number 11 is approval of a confidentiality and data security and privacy agreement. Motion. Mr. Joyner, second by Mr. Biangasso. Mr. Hender.
Yes,
Dr.
thank you.
Hender.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. Tonight for the board's approval, we have 2 agreements for our data security and privacy that ensure that we continue to be EdLaw 2D compliant.
Okay, great. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Moving on to new business item 12 is agreement between South Huntington and Scope. Motion. Ms. Meyer, seconded by Mr. Biangasso. Dr. Hender again.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. Tonight for the board's approval, we have our annual agreement with Scope, who provides our UPK services. This comes into place after our FS10 is approved by the Office of Early Learning, which it recently has been, pleased to announce. And this will take us through the rest of the school year.
Okay. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to item 13 is the approval of a District of Residence agreement between Syosset and South Huntington. Motion? Mr. Scraggs, seconded by Mr. Bronson. Mr. Lombardo.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta, for the board's approval of this special education service contract between the South Huntington Union Free School District, the District of Residence, and Syosset Central School District. The district of location is for special education services for 2 classified South Huntington residents who are parentally placed in a non-public school within the Syosset School District.
Okay, questions?
Example of regionalization.
Yes. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to item 14 is the approval of an MOA between South Huntington and Farmingdale State College. Motion. Mr. Joyner, seconded by Mr. Biangasso. Ms. Kavanaugh, again.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. For the board's approval tonight, we have a memorandum of agreement to continue to participate in the STEP program. The STEP program is the Science and Technology Entry Program, which is conducted through Farmingdale College. And this program is primarily funded through the grant with little district participation as far as the cost. And really the goal is to expand the pipeline of underrepresented students in STEM careers. It is a 5-year agreement that comes off of the current 5-year agreement that we're currently engaged in, where our students are really actively participating in incredible programs in connection with this. So we would love to continue.
Okay, thank you. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? And our last item of new business are the recommendations of the placements of students by the Committee on Special Education, various states listed in the Committee on Preschool Special Education, various states listed in October. Motion. Mr. Bronson, seconded by Mr. Biangasso. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, we'll move on to personnel. We have personnel schedules 2, 7, 9, 11, 15, 16, 17, 20, and 22. Is there a motion? Mr. Biangasso, seconded by Mr. Scragg. This is no major personnel announcements under here. Any questions? And also discuss in exec. All in favor? Any opposed? Committee reports. We have curriculum committee council minutes from September. Ms. McCarron, anything to report or?
We just, in the 25th, we talked about goals for the year, curriculum goals. I'll just mention a couple because they're in the minutes. There's going to be a focus group created to evaluate and expand the dual language program. And they're looking to make it a program from K to 12 that will lead to the New York State Seal by Literacy for a student who wants to pursue it at graduation. And elementary goals was, one of them was continue the implementation of SAVIS, which seems to be well received. Some of the students mentioned it at board recognition night, and I think it's going well. And that's to improve reading skills and academic. And another one would be to continue to review and refine and enrich the curriculum instructional practices. Secondary goals, you mentioned it, Mr. CFO, the mastery rates are lower than they would like.
Okay.
So they're going to be looking into areas of improvement to raise those rates. And also the pathways to graduation has been mentioned. That's something new that's coming. So they're going to be watching that as we get more updates from the education department on the future of regencies and graduation requirements. And one last one that's important is to focus on improving attendance. So that, and then we talked about the superintendent's conference day that Ms. Kavanaugh did quite a bit of work for with all the workshops, and I think it was very successful. And they also mentioned continuing the curriculum writing. Those are the highlights.
Great, thank you so much for the update. And it's a busy time in curriculum, as we can see, which is good to focus on. And we'll be doing a number of presentations. I believe in January we'll be getting a presentation from Dr. Hender on Savas, as well as he'll be reviewing our elementary scores. And when we have more information on pathways, we'll certainly do a presentation on that as well. Future meetings are listed, with one more meeting in 2024. That's on Tuesday, December 10th, special day, Tuesday, December 10th, rather than a Wednesday, because it coincides with our 100th anniversary celebration. And also a special location will be at the Walt Whitman High School Performing Arts Center for that celebration. We hope to see you all there. All right. Comments by board members. Ms. Meyer.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. I'll be brief. I know it's been a long night. We've had lots of wonderful celebrations, but I would be remiss if I didn't congratulate multiple parties across the district. It's been a phenomenal few weeks, and we've had amazing weather to bolster that. The elementary buildings had their amazing Halloween and fall festival parades that we were all sweating at, which was wonderful. The Maplewood Bowl happened, and it was an absolutely wonderful event. The students were so full of spirit and cheer, and it was excellent to see the teams end in a tie, so everyone was happy. Birchwood also
And you
had
scored
their...
a touchdown.
And well, thank you. I
It
wasn't going to
always
mention
ends-
it, but I scored a touchdown, yes.
Always ends in a tie, right?
Birchwood had their parent-teacher volleyball game, which looked like it was very, very well attended and received. Stimson held their amazing inaugural High Hold Games. Can't say enough about that, as well as how amazing the building and the grounds are looking. So much school spirit and culture happening there. Silas Wood held their Family Fun Night, which was a night of wellness, mindfulness, athletics, and school spirit, which was also very well attended. Gracie, I'm sure, is going to talk about the Whitman Play, which was absolutely phenomenal. You know, our Whitman Theater program never disappoints with the amazing productions that they put on. We had the Veterans Day celebration at Maplewood, which was absolutely lovely and touching, and we got to celebrate our veterans and thank them for their service. Ms. Kavanaugh led an outstanding professional development university on a day that it was the first time our district had off for Diwali. So we hope that all of our families and students that celebrated Diwali had a wonderful time doing that with their families. And lastly, you know, our boys varsity soccer team are now the Long Island champions. I don't want to steal your thunder, Dr. Lee. I'm sure you're going to talk about this. But it was an absolutely incredible game with the golden goal and sudden death, and we wish them all the best this weekend at state semifinals and finals, because I'm confident they'll go all the way. So thank you.
Thank you. Other comments? Mr. Bronson.
I echo Ms. Meyer as far as wishing our boys soccer the best, and again, I hope they go all the way. I think they will. I also just wanted to add with Ms. LaCara to thank Ms. Kavanaugh and Dr. Hender again for the Curriculum Council. It's just been off to a great start this year, and so I appreciate all the hard work that you've done, and that Ms. LaCara, Mr. Joyner, and I are very appreciative, and we all work well together. So I wanted to thank that. And finally, just to again acknowledge our first responders. You know, when they touch us personally, we're quick to say thank you, but we have to remember that, you know, if we're fortunate enough that they're not touching us individually or our families, that they're helping our community and protecting us each and every day. So I just wanted to thank our first responders once again.
Mr. Scragg.
Well, since Ms. Meyer thanked the community for every single thing that happened in the past 2 months, not much left to say, but I do actually want to congratulate our Walt Whitman theater program. Me and my wife had the opportunity to attend, and we have one of the best theater programs that I've ever seen. So I'm very thankful that we support the arts. And I want to congratulate Gracie, who was one of the stars of the play, doing a phenomenal job. So thank you very much.
Ms. Meyer did not mention, though, the Walman High School PTA night out at the main event, which was well attended, and also tomorrow night is the Stimson Silas Wood PTA event at, I don't know where it is. What is it? Main Hall. Okay. Is that a new place? Never been there. Look forward to it. Okay. Dr. Delia did win a basket again at the Walt Whitman night out, so I thought I had to mention that.
We love to generously donate. Sometimes you win a basket or two. I've been on a losing streak, though.
I won a basket, too, so.
Okay. Yes, everybody took the thunder here, so I'll be very brief. It was like a second homecoming this weekend, you know, starting, you know, with the high hold games. I know I'm not going to get everything, but, you know, kudos to the middle school staff. Putting that together was phenomenal. Everybody involved. It was great seeing middle school students out there in a large number. And I used to work in a middle school, and getting a lot of them to come back on a Friday afternoon, kudos. So great new annual event. We went to the playoff game for the football team Friday night, and they were the 7th seed, and they were playing the number 2 seed, Longwood. Hey, Whitman was winning at halftime. It was 10-7. They put up a wonderful battle. Longwood had about, we got about 40 players. They had about 100. Longwood on the sidelines, but I commend them for putting up such a good battle and representing South Huntington very well. Saturday, had a wonderful theater program. I know Friday night as well. Once again, the standard we have here for our theater program is so high, and the students respond favorably from the fall theater program to the spring musical. It's such a pleasure to be part of this district and seeing those phenomenal performances. And then on Sunday, you had the American Legion here at Whitman. They had 275 cars for their show, which raised a lot of money for veterans. So it was a great day. I don't think we've ever had anything close to that. So weather does help, but the participation was unbelievable. So we thank Charlie Armstrong from the American Legion for having a great event. Also, one more thing, the Superintendent's Conference Day that we had on Diwali on November 1st, I've been here 19 years. That was the best Superintendent's Conference Day we had by far. That's how good it was. And I know some people back there agree with me as well. We had some presenters that were back there, and they did a phenomenal job, all the presenters, and a lot of work went into putting this together. And the reason why it was so special and so awesome is that sometimes we have PD where you could have people from one subject area, it doesn't really impact them as much as another subject area, but you had a lot of choices and a menu for teachers to select. We had 3 learning sessions, and I think they had about, 15 or 16 selections in each session? 25, I'm sorry, I don't want to shortcut it. She knows very well. Yes, a ton, because they had to set up all 25. But it was unbelievable, and I think we created somewhat of a model. I'm sorry. I know it's a lot of work, but I think we could, set something like up in the future, because that model was phenomenal. And so it was a very, very productive day here for professional development in South Huntington. And yes, the soccer team. Saturday night was unbelievable. I happened to be upstate, and watching this, come back from a 3-1 deficit in the second half. We were screaming so loud, myself and my 2 kids, watching it that we woke up the in-laws. But it was just, it was awesome watching our boys, just the resiliency and, being down 3-1, it's either they're going to give up or they're going to step up. And wow, did they step up. It was a barrage of, that game could have been 10-4 because the Syosset goalie was phenomenal as well. He made a lot of saves. And listen, I know there's 4 teams going upstate this weekend in the AAA division. And listen, they're all good. They're all there for a reason. They all won their region. So it's going to be a tough game, but I do have a lot of confidence in the way the boys are playing. The coaches are doing a phenomenal job. They're peaking at the right time, and we hope to come back Sunday with a state trophy, and very proud of them. Okay, my last thing is we opened up the window for submissions to our focus groups, and we've been receiving interest from the community. There's definitely a little bit more interest with UPK than in transportation. I won't make any judgments on that, but it's still open, I believe, Dr. Hender, until November 27th. Correct. So we will send out a link again next week as well to make sure we're gauging all the interest from the community to see who would like to be part of it. So that's in motion, and moving forward with it, and looking forward to December 10th and our 100th anniversary celebration.
Thank you, Dr. D'Elia. I'll turn it over to Gracie for some comments, who's also had a busy weekend, including she spoke at the Maplewood Veterans Breakfast and really spoke so eloquently.
Oh, thank you. All right, good evening, everyone. I hope you had a good Veterans Day weekend, and hopefully everyone's adjusting to the weather. It's finally getting colder. I hate to mention it again, but really, congratulations to the boys soccer team. I think everyone's just really impressed by the skill level. They just did amazing. And while they were playing a great game, we had the women play, which was also just mentioned. Great job to all the actors. And thank you to Turner, who always puts on an amazing performance and helps us through the entire process. I did want to talk about this a little bit because it was kind of a different experience for me this time around. We had a group of boys come up from Birchwood to play cameo, quote-unquote, choir boy roles. And I was actually the one that was with them from the start, so I taught them the song and I gave them tips on how to, you know, be on stage, don't be too scared. It was actually just nice to see their passion because they were really, really excited to see like all the high schoolers, and working with them really just like made my day. It made rehearsals more fun for me, and they were genuinely just kind-hearted kids. So whoever their parents are, good job, because good kids. And they also told me that they were excited for their show, which is Susical, and that will run this January. So when I know more about that, I'll be sure to share. I also had the chance to interact with some Maplewood kids, as Mr. Chiappetta mentioned. I went to the Maplewood Veterans Day breakfast, and I met Miss Cologne, who was so, so nice and so welcoming, and the other Maplewood staff members. All the veterans there, they were just really overjoyed and super appreciative. So I thank the Board of Ed members and the nutrition services for making that happen. I also wanted to thank anyone who participated in the Parents Help Parents event at Whitman yesterday night. I was just talking to Dr. Murphy about it today. It was open to all junior and senior parents who had any questions regarding anything college related. So they were just very grateful to have those resources because the college application process gets really confusing, as I've learned the hard way. So it's good to see that everyone just wants to help each other out. And then 2 last reminders. Senior versus Faculty Sports Night will take place Monday the 25th at 7 p.m. in the South Gym. It's going to be really fun. Dr. Murphy actually told me that almost half of the senior class signed up, which is a lot of kids. So I encourage all students, all parents to go. It's going to be really fun. There's going to be a lot of people. And then lastly, the Whitman Blood Drive will be held this Friday, and all students over the age of 16 can donate if they wish. And I've been talking to a lot of the seniors who are blood drive captains, and they're just really excited, and they're going to help run the event. So yeah, that's it.
Great. And the terrific job. Last meeting, you gave us a nice video message, but you were visiting colleges, or?
It was actually. I was in Boston. So
Okay.
I saw Boston College and I saw Northeastern. They were both such pretty schools. I really liked both of them. So
You got your applications in, or?
all of them.
Okay.
I actually got my first acceptance letter from
excellent.
Buffalo, and
Awesome.
I'm very proud of myself. I got into the honors college, and I got a really hefty scholarship, I'd say. So my
Congratulations.
parents were very proud. Thank you. Thank you so much. So yeah, all my applications are in, so hopefully the rest will come rolling in
Okay.
soon.
Yeah, and keep us updated. Maybe
Yeah.
you can give us a little report on the college application process and
Yeah.
experience. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Any other comments from the voice of the resident? All right. And we will take a motion then to adjourn. Oh, I just wanted to thank everyone for putting together tonight's presentation. It was really, really tremendous. A lot of work went into this. Stimson Middle School, thank you. Ms. Kavanaugh, great presentation. And also to Ms. Caliendo, thank you for helping put together the recognition of the first responders. First time doing something like that. I come up with these ideas and I say, I want to recognize the first responders. And I say, Ms. Caliendo, go make it happen. And she does, and always does a great job. So. All right, take a motion to adjourn. Mr. Scraggs, seconded by Mr. Biancasso and Mr. Bronson. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, everyone. See you on the 10th.